Am I the a-hole for calmly ending my marriage after my wife revealed a small lie that changed everything? I, 35M, thought I had built a good life with my wife Erin, 33F. We'd been married for 6 years, together for almost 10. We met in grad school. I was studying engineering, she was studying marketing. She was smart, funny, the kind of person who could make an entire room pay attention without even trying. I was quieter, more structured. It worked. I kept us grounded, and she kept us moving. Over the years, our roles settled. I worked long hours in aerospace. Erin eventually started her own small marketing consultancy. I made the majority of our income, but I never threw that in her face. Everything was joint: our house, the cars, the accounts. I thought of it as a partnership. We didn't have kids. That was always, maybe someday. We were waiting for the right time, after her business stabilized, after I got the next promotion. It always felt like life was a few steps ahead, but we'd catch up. Until one night when I realized we'd been standing still for years, and she'd been moving in a direction I didn't even see. It started small. I got home early from a business trip. Flight got canceled, so I took the earlier one. I wanted to surprise her. I picked up Thai food, our usual comfort meal, and walked into the house around 7 p.m. Her car was in the driveway, lights on inside. But when I opened the door, she wasn't there. Her phone was on the counter, buzzing. A message lit up the screen before it locked again. I didn't mean to read it, but I saw enough. Still thinking about last night. Wish we could have talked longer. It was from someone named A. That was all. Just one sentence. But it was enough to put my brain into project manager mode. Identify the problem, isolate the cause, eliminate variables. I didn't explode or snoop through her phone. I set the food down, sat at the kitchen table, and waited. When she came home an hour later, I could tell immediately she hadn't expected to see me. Her face did this flicker, shock, then smile, then something like guilt. "Hey," she said, "you're home early." "I am," I said. "Who's A?" That single letter detonated the silence between us. She froze. Then she laughed, that high, nervous kind of laugh that never means anything good. "Oh my God," she said, "you're jealous of a client? A is for Amanda. She runs a yoga studio I do ads for." I looked at her phone on the counter. Amanda still thinking about last night? Her smile faltered. That's when I felt it. That click in my brain that meant the system had failed. The code didn't match the output. Something wasn't true. After a few minutes of deflection and half-truths, she finally sighed and said, "Okay, it's not Amanda, it's Adam. He's a friend from one of my client teams. We've just been talking. Nothing physical, I swear." I asked her how long "just been talking" had been going on. She said, "Since last year." A year. A year of talking to another man late at night? A year of venting about stress and feeling understood? A year of something I wasn't part of. She kept saying it wasn't an affair, that it wasn't physical. Maybe she even believed that. But I'm an engineer. I know the difference between potential energy and kinetic energy. She was standing at the edge of the cliff, pretending she hadn't already jumped. I didn't yell, I didn't threaten, I didn't beg. I just stopped. Over the next week, I quietly audited our life. I looked at the accounts, the bills, the mortgage. Every joint asset was a shared equation I could rewrite. While she was at client meetings, I met with a lawyer. I learned that in our state, infidelity, emotional or otherwise, wasn't needed for divorce grounds, just irretrievable breakdown. Clean and efficient. The following Friday, she texted me asking if I wanted to go out to dinner to talk. I said yes. We met at our favorite Italian place, the one where we had our rehearsal dinner years ago. She started with tears. "I'm so sorry," she said. "I was lonely and I made a mistake. I want to fix this." I nodded. "I know. I'll stop talking to him. I'll delete everything." "I know," I said again. She looked confused. "Then what are you thinking?" I placed a white envelope on the table between us. I already filed the paperwork. Her face drained of color. You what? I filed for divorce. I'm not angry, Aaron, but this marriage is over. The conversation that followed wasn't cinematic. It was quiet, fragmented. She said I was overreacting, that people work through worse. I said I believed her. People do, but not me. I don't build things that already have cracks in the foundation, and I don't rebuild when the person holding the blueprint starts drawing someone else's future on the same page. Update 1. 2 weeks later. The internet, in its infinite chaos, decided I'm a robot with a divorce lawyer soul. Maybe, but the reaction has been overwhelmingly supportive. As predicted, Erin's narrative is different. She told our mutual friends that I blew up our marriage over one text and a few emotional messages. Her version omits the 12 months of lying. What she didn't expect was that Adam's wife, yes, he was married, found my Reddit post and reached out. She confirmed that their talking had been daily, sometimes hours long, and that it had crossed into explicit territory months ago. Screenshots, timestamps, everything. I didn't need the proof, but it sealed the logic of my decision. Erin tried to reconcile again, showed up at my temporary apartment crying, saying we could start over, that she'd go to therapy. I told her calmly, I hope you do, just not with me. The next morning, I changed the locks.
Update 2. 1 month later. The legal side is almost done. My lawyer, a no-nonsense guy named Hirsch, handled everything like clockwork. We split the assets equitably, and I bought out her half of the house. She didn't fight it hard. Maybe she thought compliance would earn her sympathy. I found out she moved into a small rental with a roommate. Adam's wife, by the way, filed for divorce too. Apparently, he ghosted Erin the second things got messy. Predictable. She emailed me last week, the subject line reading, one question. The entire message was it really over because of him? I replied once, no. It was over because I stopped being able to trust you with silence. She didn't write back.
Update 3. 6 months later. I didn't think peace would feel this simple. After the initial noise, the gossip, the calls, the questions, life went quiet. I sold the house and bought a smaller place outside the city. I spend my weekends building furniture in the garage. There's something satisfying about constructing something from raw wood, watching structure emerge from chaos. It's the opposite of what my marriage became. People ask if I've started dating again. I haven't. I'm not avoiding it, I'm just not interested in simulation. I spent years in a partnership that looked perfect from the outside but had no honest code running beneath it. I'm not rebooting that system until I know exactly what inputs I want. Erin, from what I've heard through mutual friends, isn't doing great. Her business lost a few clients after the scandal with Adam leaked. She's living with her sister now, trying to rebuild. I don't take joy in that, I just see the cause and effect. Choices have equations. You can't rewrite the math after the result is printed. Final update. 1 year later. A year ago, I was sitting in a restaurant across from my wife, realizing that the woman I loved had already checked out of our marriage long before she admitted it. I remember the surreal calm, the way my brain shifted from emotion to execution. Some people call that cold. Maybe it is, but it saved me. Since then, I've learned that endings aren't explosions. Sometimes they're quiet extractions, methodical, merciful even, the way you might power down a machine before it burns out completely. I took a solo trip to Norway last spring, hiked, read, didn't speak to anyone for days. One morning, I watched the sunrise over a fjord and thought, this is what peace looks like. No noise, no drama, just clean air and a horizon that doesn't ask for anything. When I got back, I received a small padded envelope forwarded from my old address. Inside was a photograph, one of the wedding pictures Erin and I had taken at that same Italian restaurant. On the back, in her handwriting, was a single sentence. I understand now. It was never about the message, it was about the silence after. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. People online still debate whether I was too logical or emotionally detached. But I know this much. Sometimes clarity is mercy. I didn't punish her. I didn't humiliate her. I just accepted her truth faster than she could. The difference between falling apart and moving on is execution. She fell apart. I moved on.